dedicated student of the martial arts, I will live my life by the principles of black belt: modesty, courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, and indomitable spirit.
Ready, one, two.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another segment of Black Belt Parenting. My name is Sasha Williams, and this is my wife and co-host, Renee Williams.
Hello. Hello. How you doing? All right. Today's topic: should we bribe our kids? A new study suggests that you can improve children's reading comprehension and test scores by paying them money. Randy's hearing this, which is our youngest, which is gonna, really say, yeah. I think if, kids get a hold of this, hear
Yes,
this.
don't let your child see today's show. That could be a real problem for your pocketbook.
Yes, exactly.
So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take a look at a very controversial research study that was done just very recently. It was undertaken in 4 major U.S. cities. And they all centered on paying kids for improving academic results. Actually
Wow.
paying them money.
Where was that when I was in school? Erica, you getting paid?
It's Katrina.
Katrina. I'm thinking about Erica. I'm sorry. Hey, I'm still suffering from allergies here. I don't know if anybody else is, but I'm hearing it firsthand. It's pretty bad this year. Affecting the mind. Do you want to do the question of the day?
We should start with the question of the day. Yes, so everybody has a chance to ponder on this one, because also we have a special guest today.
And I believe, if I'm correct, I'm not sure, don't quote me on this, but he actually might have a prize, a gift basket that will be given out. But since we did political last week, we're doing food this week. What type of chocolate was first developed for public consumption in Vevey, Switzerland in 1875? Was it milk chocolate, Swiss chocolate, or white chocolate? This is for chocolate lovers. You should know
Interesting.
you're a chocolate lover.
Yeah, I'm not that well versed in my chocolate history or
Yes,
evolution
yes.
of chocolate.
Oh, shame on you.
I will have to take a stab in the dark on this one. So, what were the choices?
The choices were Swiss chocolate, white chocolate, or milk chocolate.
Swiss chocolate, white chocolate, or milk
It
chocolate?
was first developed for public consumption in Vevey, Switzerland in 1875.
1875.
Wow, chocolate's been around for a while.
I'm going to think it's probably not Swiss chocolate because that's too obvious of an answer. I'm going to go with white chocolate.
Intellectual. Alrighty. Well,
So we'll figure that one out later, right?
Yes,
We're not going to give it away yet. And where
Not
do
yet.
people email the answer to?
they can email it to blackbeltparenting@yahoo.com.
blackbeltparenting@yahoo.com. And just so you don't forget, if you go on our website, it's actually blackbeltparent.com.
Just the email is a little different. I create the email before you created the site. All right, so back to our main topic, paying kids to get good grades.
All right, so really what was going on, this is actually something that came out of Time magazine, just in the April issue. They had a big article on this one.
That was interesting.
But it is a controversial subject, there's no question about this. The study was done in 2007, and it was done in 4 major U.S. cities. It was done in New York City, Chicago, Washington, and Dallas. It was conducted by Roland Fryer Jr., who himself had a very interesting history in terms of his own education. He grew up in a poor portion of Texas and really had to turn his own life around, which he did very successfully, because now he is a professor of economics at Harvard University.
Wow.
Yes. And now the results of the survey that he undertook, actually he shared, at least initially, exclusively with Time magazine. And that's what led to the Time magazine article in the 2010 issue.
Now, as we were saying before, this is a very controversial subject. There's a lot of different opinions on this subject.
There is indeed. As a matter of fact, the whole idea of paying a child for learning or performing better in school makes a lot of people very, very uncomfortable. There's a lot of teachers, particularly, who feel very strongly about this.
Yeah, I don't think it would be much of a big deal as for parents, because I remember, well, of course, this was probably back in 1975. I used to get paid a quarter for every A, which is nothing now, of course. But back then, that was a big deal to me.
Right.
So, that's what they would do to, kind of
Sure.
encourage me to get good grades.
I mean, what parent does not reward their child for good grades? Even if it is just an acknowledgement, that is a reward. Right? I think what makes this subject
But
much
when it's tangible.
yeah, when it's money, it all changes.
Or something,
right?
Something they can, actually see, feel, grab hold. It's a little more.
See, the main argument actually against this kind of an incentive, and please be aware that we're not advocating one way or another right now, but there are some very interesting information that kind of stems and that comes out of this survey that can be very helpful in how to help your child. And we're going to get to that in a moment. There's several psychologists who have spoken up against this study because they simply feel that there is some evidence that this could actually muddle up the whole learning process a little bit. It can diminish the joy or the pleasure of learning itself if you start paying a child money for that. Okay. The counter argument to that is actually the fact that, well, if you have especially inner city schools that have a lot of educational challenges, and we're talking about older children, anything that gets a result is worth looking at.
True.
Now, to support the con side for right now, people that say like, no, by all means, do not pay children for getting good grades. There was a study that was done in the early 1970s that supports the idea that it can actually have some long-term negative consequences. Although the study that was done in the 70s is not entirely relevant because it was done on toddlers rather than school-age children. And it was done on a small number of toddlers, only about, I believe it was 51 toddlers. And what they did is they divided them into groups. And one of the groups, they announced ahead of time that this was the only academic skill that was being asked for was drawing. Right, all the toddlers were just drawing with some markers on some paper, I believe. A small group of toddlers was told that, listen, if you do this well, and if you do, then you're going to get a prize afterwards. You're going to get a reward, a certificate afterwards, and that's all they got. They got a pretty reward with a nice ribbon on it, that kind of stuff, right? But what happened? The interesting outcome of this was that the children who were in that control group, when they were observed in their regular activities throughout the day, weeks afterwards, they no longer drew as much just for fun. They reduced their amount of drawing by about 50% compared to the other students, at least. In other words, they didn't enjoy just drawing just for fun anymore as much, which is a very strong argument against changing the meaning of education, I guess you could say, and I think that's the biggest argument that the psychologists are trying to make here. That there should be a joy in learning, and children usually do have that joy, and you could kind of muck up the waters a little bit by paying them for any of this.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, as long as I've been in school, it was not money rewarded, but there was always little rewards always given. Periodically through school, you'll get good certificates for every semester. You have perfect attendance.
Absolutely.
Or you have good reading skills. Sometimes teachers will have a little prize box that they'll give out, to their students for, doing something, above and beyond, or for being maybe that student of the month. We give out stripes for our guys.